Most of us grow up believing love is an accident, a coincidence, a lucky encounter at the right time. But psychology and neuroscience tell a far more precise story. Love is not random. It is a process your brain has been quietly preparing for years. Your brain is a prediction machine. It constantly scans the world for patterns related to safety, belonging, and meaning. When you meet someone new, your brain doesn't start from zero. It instantly compares them to emotional memories formed long before this moment. These memories are not clear pictures or logical thoughts. They are feelings stored deep in the nervous system. How attention felt, how closeness felt, how love felt when it was present or absent. Your brain uses these emotional memories as shortcuts. This is why attraction can feel instant. The brain recognizes something familiar and responds before conscious thought appears. Familiar does not always mean healthy. It simply means known, and the brain prefers what it knows because it feels predictable. Neuroscience shows that the reward system activates when prediction matches experience. Dopamine is released not because someone is perfect, but because they fit an internal emotional template. The brain says, "This makes sense to me," even if you can't explain why. The amygdala plays a central role here. It stores emotional experiences linked to people and situations. When someone triggers similar emotional signals, the amygdala marks them as important. This happens automatically, without asking your permission. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for reasoning and long-term judgment, becomes less dominant. This is why early love feels irrational. It is not weakness. It is biology prioritizing connection over analysis. Hormones intensify the process. Dopamine creates focus and desire. Oxytocin strengthens attachment and trust. Serotonin levels drop slightly, which explains obsessive thinking. Your mind keeps returning to the same person because the brain is reinforcing bonding. This system evolved to help humans connect quickly and form social bonds. But it also explains why people often repeat the same relationship patterns. Neural pathways strengthen through repetition. The brain becomes efficient at choosing what it already understands. Psychology does not say love is fake or meaningless. It explains why love feels so powerful. Love is the brain's attempt to meet emotional needs, resolve old patterns, and reinforce identity through connection with another human being. The hopeful truth is this: the brain is not fixed. Neuroplasticity means emotional patterns can change. When awareness increases, prediction updates. When experiences become healthier, emotional memory reshapes. The brain learns new definitions of safety and love. You don't fall in love by accident. You fall in love because your brain believes it makes sense, based on everything it has learned so far. And once you understand that, love stops feeling confusing and starts becoming something you can grow into consciously. Think about how often people say, "I don't know why I'm attracted to them." That sentence is actually very accurate. Most attraction happens below conscious awareness. The brain decides first, and the mind explains later. Consider someone who grew up receiving love inconsistently, sometimes warmth, sometimes distance. As an adult, their brain learned that emotional unpredictability feels familiar. When they meet someone emotionally unavailable, their nervous system lights up, not because it's healthy, but because it recognizes the pattern. Another person may have learned that love equals responsibility. They feel most connected when they are needed, so they repeatedly fall for people who struggle, not because they want drama, but because their brain associates usefulness with belonging. These patterns are not personality flaws. They are learned, neural shortcuts. The brain repeats what once helped it survive emotionally. Even when the situation changes, the brain keeps using the same map until a new one is built. Memory plays a huge role here. Emotional memory is different from factual memory. You may forget events, but your nervous system remembers how situations made you feel. Attraction often comes from trying to recreate or repair those old emotional states. This is why logic alone rarely changes attraction. Telling yourself this is bad for me does not deactivate neural pathways built over years. The brain needs new experiences, not just new thoughts. One practical tool is slowing the bonding process. Strong attraction thrives on speed. When you slow down, the thinking brain stays engaged longer. This allows you to observe patterns instead of being pulled into them automatically. Another tool is emotional labeling. When attraction feels intense, pause and ask, what feeling does this remind me of? Not who it reminds you of, but what emotional state it triggers. Familiar tension, excitement, calm, or longing. Memory reframing is especially powerful. When you reflect on past relationships, don't focus only on what you lost. Focus on what your nervous system was trying to achieve. Was it safety, validation, control, or closeness? By reframing memories this way, the brain begins to update its understanding. Instead of repeating the pattern, it starts recognizing the need beneath it. This reduces the emotional pull of similar situations in the future. Neuroplasticity works through repetition and reflection. Each time you respond differently, even slightly, you weaken old neural pathways and strengthen new ones. This is not instant, but it is real and measurable in brain research. Healthy attraction often feels quieter at first. This can be confusing because the brain is used to intensity. Calm may feel boring until the nervous system learns that stability can also be rewarding. Over time, as emotional memory updates, attraction changes. You start noticing different qualities. Emotional availability, consistency, and respect begin to feel more appealing because the brain has learned new definitions of safety. This is how psychology turns love from something mysterious into something understandable, not controlled, but understood. And understanding gives you choice, not restriction. As neuroscience continues to evolve, one of the most important discoveries is this. The brain is not just reactive, it is adaptive. It changes based on what we repeatedly experience, reflect on, and practice over time. Future research is showing that emotional intelligence is not a personality trait. It is a trainable skill. The brain regions involved in self-awareness, empathy, and emotional regulation strengthen with use, just like muscles. This means love in the future may feel less chaotic and more conscious. Not because emotions disappear, but because the brain becomes better at integrating emotion with wisdom. Attraction does not vanish. It matures. One of the most powerful adaptations is learning to pause. When you pause, you create space between emotion and action. That space allows the thinking brain to stay engaged, even in emotionally charged moments. Over time, this changes how attraction forms. The brain begins associating safety with clarity, not intensity. Connection with consistency, not unpredictability. This is not lowering standards. It is raising emotional alignment. Wisdom develops when experience meets reflection. Without reflection, experience only repeats itself. But with awareness, the brain extracts meaning instead of pain. This is how emotional growth happens. Memory also changes with time. Neuroscience shows that each time you recall a memory, it is slightly This means your past is not fixed. How you understand it today shapes how it influences you tomorrow. When past relationships are viewed with compassion instead of judgment, emotional charge decreases. The nervous system relaxes. The brain stops treating similar situations as urgent or threatening. This is where hope lives, not in finding the perfect person, but in becoming a person whose brain no longer confuses familiarity with destiny. Future thinking suggests that love will increasingly be seen as a partnership between biology and awareness, not something that happens to you, but something you participate in consciously. This does not make love less romantic. It makes it more real. Love becomes a choice supported by emotion, not driven by unresolved patterns. As your brain adapts, attraction aligns with values instead of wounds. You start recognizing peace as chemistry, respect as desire, growth as connection. You don't fall in love by accident. You fall in love based on what your brain has learned. And the most powerful truth is this: what the brain learns, it can Love then becomes not a trap, not a mystery, but a reflection of how well you understand yourself. And that understanding is something you can build, one thought one experience, one moment of awareness at a time.